Hi, how's it going? I'm Mark Justin from Justin Wood, and today I'm going to show you some tips on one of the most undervalued things in my workshop, masking tape. So I'm just going to run through a few tips here, and hopefully everybody will learn something today. So the first one is all of your tools have loads of different types of adapters for plugging your hoses in and out, and one of the keep falling out, or you're swapping between tool and tool. One of the quickest and easiest ways is just literally a really quick piece of masking tape. Do this, stick it on, and it's strong enough to last for as long as you need. It's easy to take off, and it doesn't leave really any residue at all. The second tip is, if you're going to be mixing epoxy or filler, or you just want a wee surface, just use your workbench, use a table. Just get some masking tape, just put it down on your workbench. And that way you've got a nice surface that you're not going to mess anything up to mix up your epoxy. So you can just mix up your epoxy here. And a tip with mixing epoxy is to use one of these wooden skewers. That's one of the best ways to do it, because we can just roll it. So you just literally roll it over, and it's the best way to mix it. And then when we're rolling it like this, we can just pick it up, put it where we need to put it. When we're done, literally just rip it up, and you're ready to move on to your next job with no mess. The next one's a really simple, silly one. Tape measures. Something that can be really handy is literally just get a piece of sellotape or masking tape, stick it on here, just keep it on there. So if you're out and about and there's measurements, or you're talking to a client, you have to remember something, whatever, you've always got your tape on you, then you can write notes on this, write measurements, because everybody knows what it's like to go measure something and keep it in your head the whole time, get to the saw and go, what was that again? But just, you can check it up on this. So it's really handy, really easy one to do. Another tip is when gluing things up, if you get half decent masking tape, it's a really good way of actually clamping things in place. So you can do pretty complicated shapes just with this here. It has a wee bit of a stretch, but it's strong enough to give you a good seal. So we can just line everything up that we need to do. Even in something like this is maybe a wee bit more complicated to clamp up sometimes. And then we can just put our glue in all the areas and just literally roll it up here. And you can even hear there, you're getting a wee bit of a stretch on the tape. Just make sure it's well on. And then we just finish that off with another piece. And then we don't need to worry about any clamps or anything like that. It's all ready to go. It's a good way as well if you're working on face frames. You're trying to edge band plywood or something, and you're going to put a nice piece of solid wood along the edge of it. What you can do is literally just tape it on. So we've got the edge here, put your solid piece on and just literally tape it across and push, so you're pulling the whole solid piece in. It means you don't need to be using nails and think of filling holes, or you don't need loads of clamps to clamp up a whole cabinet. The next tip then is if you're going to be mounting any of these chargers, sometimes it can be a pain to mount, or four-way adapters or shells or anything like that. A really good way to do this accurately is to use masking tape, and you just break a piece off, and just where the holes are that we want to be lining up, if you put this on here, then we've got the exact measurement. I like to make a wee mark just right where we want to be going, and then sometimes it's even handy just to get an awl or something and to make your holes. And then once we have this here, we've got the exact measurements. So depending on what way you're going, you can actually use this to level your piece. And once you put it on, drill the holes, put the screws in, everything's going to match up, and you're going to have a perfect fitting every time. No stress, no measuring. The next one, sometimes I'm working on darker woods or worktops or whatever, and it's hard to see your pencil marks, so especially if you're going with the grain on something that's darker along this way. And it's just as simple as using this and putting it here. I use this to mark out loads of stuff, label things. So if this is the face that I want to be showing, then the good side, and I'll put an F on this here, and it means you're not sanding through, marking this every time. You use this for labeling things. I use it if I do a big glue up, I write down the time, so I write down the time that it was done, and then it knows I can come back whenever it's ready. One other tip, that if you're being lazy and you have you don't want to change your saw blade, or your saw blade is getting dull, or whatever. So this here's a really rough blade, but you can actually stop some tear out of getting some ugly cuts. So just by putting some masking tape at the edge of it. So I'll do a cut with. So there's the one without masking tape, and then if I peel this off, it actually just sees it. It's not perfect, but it's definitely a lot better than what it would be. So another one is if we are trying to make templates of something, you've got something that you want to cut around it or keep it in place, a really, really handy one for this is to use this with some of the like instant egg glue. And you literally just put your tape down here, and then under your piece, and we can just use a couple of blobs of this glue here. Do this wee spray. And then you have a pretty much instant stick. And this is going to be strong enough to, I don't know, write around this, draw around this, cut around this, sand them both together to get them the same size. I use this a lot if I'm using like a zero clearance thing in my bandsaw. I can put down a plate, like a big piece of wood for more support and stick it down there, but then it's easy enough to pull off. It's strong enough that it'll not fall off, but at the end you can pull it off. So if we get some sort of knife here, we can just break this off nicely, and we pull this, and you've got no marks, but it was strong enough to do your job. So I hope you learned something out of that. That's just some of the things that I use this for every day. So it's really an undervalued tool. So thanks for watching.